Okay. Take 500 and 300 and something, a lot of attempts later. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Twitch veins and Lulu veins and everyone else. This is Wackaflcka with yet another Wackaflcka explain, okay? And today I'm gonna explain target champion only and attack move and what they do, how they work, and the pros and cons of some of them, and also what I would recommend and what I personally use. And I think it's easiest first to just go through the settings that I use, and then after the video is done, you will then understand what they do and why I use them. So I personally use this setting here, and I have 3 target champion only on, attack move on cursor, and then I have my target champions only bound to C. Okay, which means that I can move around with my right click as everyone else does, but also I can auto attack with my left mouse button, and by pressing the button C, I enable my target champions only. Okay, and occasionally I will use A button as well, which you will come to understand later if you do not already. First and foremost, I'm gonna just talk about target champion only. It's a setting that enables you to click or hover on anything that is not a champion. Okay, so as an example with the turret, I'm now able to attack it. I toggle my target champions only. I'm now not able to hover it. It doesn't do anything more. It doesn't do anything less. Okay, it doesn't give me god mode and insane kiting abilities, meaning that I can just spam on the ground and kite this direction, and because I have target champion only on, I will only attack the person that is a champion, right? It's not how it works. It only means that I'm not able to hover my computer mouse and use my right click button, which is the one that I move with, to accidentally click on the tower or honey fruit or camps. Only am I able to command my champion to attack a target by right clicking it. Right? It doesn't mean that I can not left click and auto attack this tower, because I can still do that. But I cannot right click to attack it. I can only do that to champions. So why this is good to have is because in the situation that you have a target behind the tower, if I do not have it on, as you can see, it's now toggled as it has the white outlining. Now it's not toggled. If I wanted to attack this champion, I would have a very difficult time to kill him under the tower. I would have to position my camera like this, and that's not very optimal. And how you can solve this problem is by enabling it. Because now I'm only able to target the champion behind it. So I can now right click, as you can see clearly on the screen. I can only right click the champion. Okay? And in other situations where this is going to be coming in handy is in the case of where you're going to be perhaps fighting in the river, which is why I would recommend toggling this at all times when you're not farming, almost. Because in the situation that you're fighting someone like this, and you're perhaps coming out of the jungle here, they're chasing you. Imagine they are coming from here chasing you like this, and you are kiting like this, and then you walk down like this while you're kiting. I have it enabled now, so there is no problem. But you have it off. Come down here, you kite, and then you want to move and you accidentally click this, and that's gonna perhaps end in your death. So in any case, regardless of how you auto attack, in these situations, I would recommend to have it on. Because even if you are auto attacking by using your other buttons, be it A click, right click, left clicking as I'm doing here, or ZXing, as I will also explain later in the video, you will not have the ability to accidentally click on a scrying orb or a pink ward in a bush or the blasting cone while walking backwards. So if I'm coming here, fighting like this, and then accidentally doing this, that is something that's going to be prevented when having target champion only on. So I would recommend to have this on at almost all times when not in the lane and having to fight against minions or having the need to attack anything that is not a minion, right? Because if you want to attack Scuttle Crab, that's near enough impossible when you have it toggled on, but then now you can do it. But if a champion were to approach, I would recommend to enable it. So even in the case if you're only using your right click to move around, it's good to have it toggled on because it's going to prevent you from accidentally clicking on something that you might not want to click on and wasting the cooldown in your auto attack. Yeah. It doesn't do anything more. It doesn't do anything less. It just does what it does, which enables you to target a champion only. It doesn't mean that you can toggle it on and have a huge minion wave around this champion and only have it toggled on and then auto attack here. It will still attack all the minions around. Okay. So hopefully that clears some things up because people seem to have the idea that you can toggle it on and then click anywhere on the map and it will only shoot towards a champion. It will not do that. It will only be useful in attacking a champion if it's toggled on and you're using the right click button. Any other action of attacking is going to have no effect if this is toggled on or off, okay? It only prevents you from misclicking or while moving away from a target or being able to kill someone on a tower by the use of right click. Because if I were to attack move here, I'm still going to attack the tower. Unless I move my mouse closer to the dummy, as I will explain in my video, will then attack him. But in most situations, you are going to want to right click him because that's the safest option. And even in the case that you're going to want to attack move him, you might accidentally attack the tower. So right clicking a champion on the tower with target champion only on is what I would recommend. Okay. So that's target champion only explained. Now let's move on to auto attacking. The easiest way and the most simplest way of auto attacking someone, but also the most difficult one, is the one that everyone knows. It's the right clicking, the same button that you use to move. When hovered over an enemy, it will attack it. It will no longer act as a movement button, but it will then act as an attack button. It will command your character to do something against the person or thing that it's hovered over. So if it's hovered over the ground, it will move there. Hovered over a champion, it will attack it. This is the best way of auto attacking, but it's also the most difficult one because you have moving champions, which will then sometimes lead you to misclicking it. And in some situations, that's going to be the end of your life and possibly game, okay? So this is not something that I would recommend you to use at all times unless you're a very good player. Because in times, you might fight away and end up clicking wrong and walking in and dying. Which is why it's led people to look for other alternatives, which is what I'm going to explain now. And the first alternative is something called A-clicking, which involves the use of 3 buttons. Okay? This is 3 buttons for moving and in terms of kiting, but the action of attacking only requires 2. So we are going to talk about the sense of kiting here. Yeah? So we are going to talk about the sense of kiting here. My Streamlabs just crashed, so I got a bit confused. So, moving away, kiting, you press A click, you will get this indicator around you, and then you will click left click to then command your champion to attack in the direction or on the person that you're hovering over with use of this. So move away, A click, right? This one is good. Very safe option. Shows you the range of your character, which then is also another good thing. So you then know how close you should be to the target or what your max range is. So if you're, as an example here, you know that you can move a bit further out. This is something I would recommend you to use in early game when you don't have so much attack speed, because this requires a lot of inputs to go through if you're going to do this is at a high attack speed. So as an example, with 3 attack speed, kiting with this option here is going to be 9 buttons a second, 9 separate button clicks, okay? It's going to be right click, A, left click, right click, A, left click, right? And if you're going to do that 9 times in a second, it's going to be very difficult, especially when you have to flash, heal, ultimate, E, W, Q, and all these other spells as well, okay? So this is mostly to be recommended for early game, but it's also something that I would recommend to use because it's very good and you're gonna feel a lot cleaner with your CSing as well when you're using this. But as you move on to the later stage of the game, it's gonna be a bit more difficult, okay? So the second option that you have is to then go into the settings here and scroll down to player movement and enable player move click and player attack move click. Player move click set is your right click. Player attack move click is your attack when hovering over or your A click without target indicator. So in this case, I can then instead use set to move X to attack, set to move X to attack. And as you can see, it's only 2 buttons. No indicator. It can be very smooth and good. And some people use this, and even these settings in particular, but they don't tend to use it in this manner here. They tend to use it in this manner where you hold your mouse in the same position and then they kite backwards with it. And the use of rapidly spamming them like this, which is why you will see some Reddit clips only showing the spectate mode because they don't want to show their cursor. And it's a very low end bad version of kiting by only holding a mouse like this. And it's something that's very bad. And I'm going to use the word noob here because it's a very easy way of describing it. So if you are in that habit now, I would just try and move away from that and just try and get to moving your computer mouse as fast as possible. So again, you might not, because you might not even move with your computer mouse with this. You're only going to use this, hold your computer mouse still. But then you also come to the problem still of having to maybe flash sometimes, right? So then having to flash while using these 2 buttons here, you have to press flash and then up here, while also still maintaining the attack speed that you're doing. It's going to become difficult. Which is why I scroll down here and enable this, which enables my left click button to act as an attack move, which then makes my right hand the only need to actually kite and do things and leaving my left hand free to do whatever it wants. Meaning I can maintain these actions and at the same time have my left hand free to press my stealth as an example, my ultimate. Maybe a Sona will ultimate me and I need to flash it. Right, so this is the most optimal one and what I would recommend. And I guess it doesn't really apply to the people that do this, as there is nothing to really say about that other than stop doing it, it's bad. There are very few scenarios where it's optimal because the second there's minions in place here, you're going to attack the minions instead. Regardless of what's in front of you, unless minions are where your mouse is, you are going to attack the thing closest to you. So it's going to end up looking very, very clunky. So in this situation here, I want to attack this target here. and I'm doing this, I'm not attacking him once, as you can see, right? But there's a lot of people that do this, and it has, right? Like, I'm not even, imagine that's minions. I'm attacking minions right now, looking like a clown. So the only situation where you can really do this is if there's only champions in front of you, no other threat, no minion wave, nothing. Not one single thing can be in the way of you, because the second there is something else there, and you are trying to attack someone, you are going to do this, and then, right, you are going to fail. So just get to moving this. It becomes a lot easier when you have multiple keys for each separate action, because your brain recognizes certain things with a click, right? So in this case, kiting away, my brain associates that with moving. My hand moves down. My brain thinks, oh, my hand moves down. That means I'm going to right click. My hand moves up. My brain automatically knows left click, right? So having these things in interval, it becomes a lot easier to have a rhythm as well when it comes to higher attack speed. Because also your one finger can't press as many buttons as your two fingers can. So the more fingers you have of disposal, in this case, the maximum you can have, because there's only two actions, is right click and left click, which is what I'm using and what I would recommend for anyone wanting to have the highest skill cap as possible and expression, while also still being able to use your spells and everything else at the same time. So this is the way of kiting with the least handicap as possible, while also replicating as close as possible to actually only right-clicking the champion. Okay? So once you have this enabled, and you've figured out what you want to use, there's another setting you have to look at, which is attack move on cursor. And what this does is, without this toggled on, when you are close to a champion, it will attack the champion closest to you, regardless of where you click. This is the entire setting that makes this viable and even remotely close to only auto-attacking on the champion. Because when you are now auto-attacking with it toggled off, I'm only attacking this. Because now my champion will only attack the thing close to me, like it will only know to attack around me. But when I enable this, my champion will know to attack the thing that is closest to my computer mouse, right? So even if I'm here and I'm clicking, it will still attack him. So when I'm kiting and I'm moving away, if I were to do it like this, I only use the right click, right? It's very similar as if I'm gonna kite away, right click, or left click, sorry, and I'm not even clicking on him, but I'm very, very close. But you don't have to be very accurate, but still mimics and it's very similar. And there's very few situations that are gonna cause you to misclick and attack something else, unless you are very inaccurate with your clicks. But this just allows you to still attack the champion and also having two separate actions for what you want to do. So moving around is going to be associated with your brain as right-clicking and moving away from the champion. And attacking a champion is going to be associated with left-clicking and moving towards a champion. So it's going to become very easy for your brain to recognize and memorize these actions and button presses automatically without much thought process as you progressively get better at it. And then eventually you're going to become Space Glider champion and also not a spectate pleb that does this, right? So those are basically my settings, what they all do. Again, quick summary. Attack move on cursor means that when you command an attack with your computer mouse not being right click, but any other button, be it the X as we spoke of, or the A click, and you click on the ground, it's going to attack the nearest target to where you clicked as opposed to near your champion. which is a setting you have to have enabled. There is no reason to not have it enabled. So when you watch this video, go into game and just toggle it if you don't, okay? And if you don't have it enabled, it might explain some of the awkward moments that you might have experienced in the game. Treat target champion only. That enables you to only press the button to toggle it. And if you have it off, you will have to hold it down. Definitely not recommended. So if you are to use this button, make sure to toggle it like so. Key bindings, target champion only, is found in the first tab of abilities and summon a spell, all the way down on the other, target champion only. You can make this any button you want. I personally use the button C. And then the buttons of changing which ones you move with is player move click and player attack move click, which can be found here. Don't change the first ones, change these two here to whichever buttons you want. Again, I wouldn't really recommend using those buttons. I would recommend sticking with the one at the very bottom here, which is the one that enables you to only left click. But something to be said when you're doing this is that when you're looking at the map, you have to hold shift. Otherwise, your champion's gonna attack when you look around, as you can see here. So when recalling and you want to look at the map, you are gonna cancel your recall because you start attacking. So if you are recalling and you want to look around the map, you have to hold shift as well. Okay, same applies to clicking the shop. We'll start moving. So whenever you're buying items or doing something that's not in the store, you're fine not using shift, but when you're outside of the store, you want to click it, you have to do this, otherwise you're gonna start moving around and it's gonna get awkward. So whenever you're doing anything, be it pinging someone, because when I ping now, I'm gonna start attacking, right? So make sure if you have this enabled and you have chosen to use this setting, to hold shift whenever you're not doing something, or when you are doing something that is not doing an attack move. But I think that covers everything. And if there are any questions left, then feel free to ask them and I will answer them as best as I can. Okay, quickly, attack move on, or target champion only on, can't target champions. Try it like this. And stop doing this, please. It's bad. That's everything. Wackaflcka out. Have a nice day. Sleep well. Good morning. Nice day at work. Have a nice school day. Whatever it is, okay? Peace.